Hi, I'm Jesse Hemby. Let me tell you, I am excited to be in East Ellijay, Georgia, one of the most famous places in North Georgia, with Oscar Poole at Colonel Oscar Poole's Barbecue. Oscar, you've got to give us some background about this place.
Well, it's good to have you here, Jesse. This is a 7.5-year-old project, and we started out in 1989 on June the 8th. So about 7.5 months now.
Right.
We've been here. We've moved from the old to the new in this new place right here where you are standing in front of.
Right. Now, your old place is the one that most people are going to recognize, the place that's been seen around the world on television.
Right.
And tell me a little bit about the old establishment and what you're planning on doing with that place over there.
Well, it's a glorified shack. The guy from the Swedish Embassy, who was the cultural counselor for the Swedish Embassy, said it's so tacky, it's classic. And that's what really has made us. Back in in 92, actually, this thing exploded when I was driving my pig Mobile. Notice pig Mobile?
Right.
Named for Moby, 101.5 Kicks radio in Atlanta.
Right.
I was driving it over to the Radio Shack to get something for my recorder for my mission study in Brazil. I'm a missionary in Brazil. And the Associated Press was there, and they followed me home, ate lunch at the old place, and asked the questions about the pigs on the hill.
Right.
Well, I told them, and you're inquiring now about the pigs on the hill.
Right.
And I said, well, the day before we opened up here, we had it open, and I had a brainstorm. We couldn't get a sign out here on the highway because of the LBJ stuff years ago. And I had a brainstorm. I'll go down to the local feed store and copy a pig off a sack and make an open and close sign, pig. I did that. I went down and got the sack, and I made it open. I made one for Oscar, myself, Edna, my wife, Mickey, who works for us, hung them up, and Bob and Susan and a few more began to ask, I want my pig.
Right.
After about 75 pigs on the hill, I saw people it was just we weren't even thinking about it. People began to take videos and snapshots and talking piece. I want to be on that hill. Somebody said, you ought to charge. Well, I charged $3, then $4, then $5. I always felt guilty about charging.
Right.
But I saw the response of the people to this. That's what kept me going.
Right. And now you've got, it looks like a couple of thousand?
3,000.
3,000.
Nearly 3,000 pigs on the hill. And you have to qualify to be on that hill. You have to have an honest face, good intentions, and $5.
That doesn't sound too bad. Now, you've got some famous names up there, political, media, and otherwise. Tell me about some of the famous folks who've seen you.
I think Pat Buchanan is the most famous up there. We have had some Democrats. A guy in the White House has been up there, and another guy in the White House. But we'll ignore that right now. Pat Buchanan's the most famous, and Shelley, his wife. Guy Milner was pig number 2,000. About 2 years ago, he was running for governor, and he was the 2,000th pig. So there's a lot of media folks there. Herb, of course, Moby, you know about Moby, I mentioned that. And there must be 30 or 40 celebrities up there.
Okay, now it's going to be hard to miss the pig mobile behind me. But now let me tell you where I saw you once before. You were in Chatsworth and Dalton in front of the Olympic torch.
Well, I had the privilege of leading the torch into Chatsworth, and then I just kept on going over to your town, Dalton, and that's where I saw you there.
That's right. And I tell you what, that's quite a sight to see the Olympic torch behind the pig mobile.
That's right. I had that privilege.
That sounds good. Now, you also, another thing that we want to talk about, and we're going to go inside in just a second, but you're not in your old location at all anymore.
No. On July the 11th, we moved from the old place to the new. After 7 years and 1 month, we've been here for a short time now.
Right. How did you get the idea for the pig mobile? How did that come into your head?
As I was indicating a while ago, I could not get a sign, so I thought about a traveling sign, that was my traveling billboard. Billboard on wheels. That's what the whole idea was.
Right. If we're talking to a lot of people in Catoosa County, Walker County, and places like that, give them a quick rundown of how they would find you over here in East Ellijay.
Well, we're on the 4-lane highway, the Appalachian Highway. We only have 2 stoplights in East Ellijay. Walmart's over here, just about 300 yards this way, and down the road here a piece is the next light. We have 2 lights, and we're almost in the middle of these 2 lights on the west side of the 515 Appalachian Highway.
Okay, so it's not going to be hard for folks folks to find you. And I tell you what, if you drive by, you're not going to miss the place.
Just look for the pigs on the hill.
That sounds good. Now, I tell you what, in just a second, we're going to go inside now. We're going to listen to you play the piano, I think. We're going to look at some artwork, like the artwork on your T-shirt here. Is there anything else you would like to say about the old place? I guess it's kind of sad to move.
It's nostalgic. We'll talk about the painting that a man did. A man came by here and made a painting, John Allen Bader, a 44 by 66 painting, oil painting that hangs in the art gallery, O.K. Harris Art Gallery in New York City. That painting is valued at $40,000 more than the original shack cost.
That is amazing. I tell you what, I can't wait to go in and see it. Oscar, let's go inside.
All right.
Here we go.
All right.
Okay, Oscar, now we've moved indoors here. We're inside the Taj Mahal, is that right?
Yes, this is the Taj Mahal, and we built this ourselves.
Now, you finished construction when?
Back summer of this year, of '96, in June, and we moved in July.
One of the things I love about this place is you've got all kinds of memorabilia around. Let's talk about that.
Yes, you can sit here at the booths, and on the table we have them, decoupage. We have all the pictures and the history of various things, events happening here like this, video events and politicians and other people who have been here, and it's all over the place, on the walls and on the tables.
You've got all kinds of memorabilia. We talked a little bit outside about the artwork and the painting that's on your T-shirt. Go into some more detail about that.
Well, one of the things I'm very happy about is the Swedish Embassy in Washington, the cultural counselor, back during a time when we weren't very, some of the local folks were a little bit ashamed of, well, they weren't quite sure how to react toward our so classy, it's so tacky, it's classic.
Right.
The guy came here from the Swedish Embassy, the cultural counselor, and said this was the most American thing I've seen. Right. And wrote the letter to the Chamber of Commerce and said to me, it's so tacky, it's classic. I like it. That's all over the place around here.
That's almost like your theme around here.
That's the old place. We've tried to tacky this up a little bit. This is pretty nice here, but we're trying to tacky it up a little bit so we can stay classic.
Right. But you've got to be proud of the fact that you've got a tradition going here, and you've been open since 1989 or whatever, but you've got a huge tradition.
Yeah, 7.5 years nearly, and it's all happened in the last 5 years from that original story with the Associated Press. Moby from Atlanta got in on the action, Channel 3 over here. In fact, you folks were here back when Pat Buchanan came. In '92, you all were here, and the Japanese news agency, the CBC, Reuters, ABC, NBC, CBS, and U.S. News World Report, People, Newsweek, all this has happened here to us.
Famous all around the world. That's right.
Yes, we have, the Pigmobile has been seen literally around the world. Two guys were laughing at me one day when I was building that Pigmobile. Oscar, what you doing? I said, I'm making me a pig. Oh, ho, 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 ho. They laughed at me. And but that's the only Pigmobile. Notice I say Pigmobile. Say it fast. You get Pigmobile. That has been seen around the world.
That's super. And I can tell you're excited about it. Obviously.
Well, we're excited about this business because it's a spiritual business. We feel like that God sovereignly blessed my wife Edna. I ought to mention her name. She's back in the kitchen there cooking the food right now for you folks to eat here in a few minutes.
Can't wait.
You smell that?
I love it.
Yes, it's a spiritual story, and we believe that God himself, and I apologize to anybody that doesn't like spiritual talk, but I got to be spiritual for a moment about that because I know that's true. It wasn't just our cleverness, although we had some creative ideas, but those creative ideas came from him.
That's super, and we've got to talk about the barbecue. You say it's blessed almost, and I can smell it.
It's anointed barbecue.
Man, I tell you what.
And we're the conservative barbecue folks. For a long time, we had a low overhead, and we cut out the fat.
That makes you conservative.
Because all of our pigs have been tested. They've been tested. They've been through the fire and delivered from the pit.
I can't wait to get into it. What kind of barbecue do you have? You have plates, sandwiches?
We have pork. And you pork out there. You can pork out there outside. You can have pork or beef sandwiches or plates. We have pork ribs, and we have chicken, and then a lot of side items like French fries, onion rings, and stew. We have Brunswick stew. Now, pardon me, East LJ stew.
East LJ stew. Look, we got to talk about that again too. You know, we talked about outside a little bit about how folks can find you coming over for the apple festivals and that kind of thing. You expect that to be a busy time, I guess.
It's like a circus around here. We have to hire extra help. We have people outside on the picnic tables. They pig out on the picnic tables, and they on the side here on the front porch, and this is how it's amazing. It's a circus.
I tell you what, folks know that you could make it as a comedian if you didn't survive in the barbecue business. They tell me that you also play the piano.
I do a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to listen to some of that.
All right, I'll be glad to.
Well, I tell you what, we've got to talk about another thing that's in your brochure. You can send this barbecue literally anywhere in the country overnight.
FedEx. Guaranteed overnight by 3 o'clock the next day. A phone call here will do it. Using your Visa or MasterCard, we'll ship the barbecue anywhere in the United States, exclusive of Alaska and Hawaii. Guaranteed by 3 o'clock the next day.
How do they do that? Is it like a packed in dry ice?
It's packaged up, and those little things that's frozen in there, it's not dry ice, it's gel pack, they call it. It's frozen, and of course the barbecue leaves here frozen. We've had some good reports about that.
Right. You expecting some famous people to drop by this political season? You hope you see some more folks?
Well, Guy Milner has been here running for U.S. Senate, and of course our local congressman Nathan Deal's been here and will be coming back. And well, maybe I better not say about the presidential campaign because I'm not sure yet, but I think they're coming.
I tell you what, now are you going to add more pigs as these people come by? Are you still going to do the pigs on the hill, or are you going to stop maybe doing that?
We don't know about that. We are considering putting pigs under the front porch here, maybe hanging pigs in here. My wife's not sure she wants me to tacky it up that much.
But I tell you what, you do really seriously have a super place here.
Thank you.
And this is a brand new building, and they told me that you built this yourself.
That's right. I had some help, of course. 2 or 3 of us built this thing. I laid the logs, and it was my first log house. I built several houses, but not a log house. This was the first one I ever built, a log house.
I tell you what, this is all I can stand. We've smelled this barbecue for the last 30 minutes. I can't take it anymore. We're going to have to wrap this up so we can get in there and eat some barbecue.
All right.
But let me tell you, if you're coming to East LJ anytime, especially this high point of the season here with the apples and the leaves changing, you've got to come by Poole's Barbecue. And do you have your phone number here you can give folks?
Area 706-635-4100. 635-4100.
Oscar, it's been a real pleasure. I appreciate you letting us come by. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Question: what do you get when you cross an old-time gospel preacher, a musician, an entrepreneur, and a pig? Sound like a joke? Well, it most certainly is not. The answer is simple: Colonel Oscar Poole's Barbecue. Who is Oscar Poole, you ask? Well, he is a man who is living the American dream, at least his own unique version of it, a version that includes a pig car. Here is how the Colonel describes his humble beginnings in the barbecue business in East Ellijay, Georgia.
We started 7.5 years ago with no capital, $3,500 in the hole, in fact, with an 8x12 shack over on the side of the hill here, as you've seen. And I take comfort in that we do represent the free American dream spirit, and I consider myself an entrepreneurial person.
You see, Oscar Poole's Barbecue has grown out of a shack and a dream to become a landmark in less than a decade. In 1989, when Oscar set up shop, he couldn't have imagined what his vision would flourish into.
Well, I'm by nature visionary. I always tend to see the end from the beginning, and expansion is my nature. Of course, being a retired pastor, I think about the kingdom of God, and you know the kingdom of God is expansive in nature. The seed and the sower, the parable of the seed and the sower, its growth, and I think what we've demonstrated here, what we've seen happen, has been just that. It's been the seed and the sower concept here. It's grown by leaps and bounds.
In 1992, the Associated Press ran a story about Poole's famous pigs on the hill. It seems that there are some famous political pigs up there, at least enough to spark media interest. That media interest soon led to a booming business, so successful in fact that Poole has moved out of the roadside stand and into a new building. A building that Oscar Poole himself helped to build. Oscar Poole is indeed a happy man.
But truly, this has become our ministry. We are like a church, or even better. We are finding fulfillment, but I cannot tell you down deep in my spirit how I really feel. It is truly satisfying. Shall I say I feel spiritual?
So tacky it's classic. That's kind of the battle cry around Oscar's place, even if his wife wishes it was only a little tacky. But the self-proclaimed Colonel Sanders of barbecue will not be discouraged by his critics or his age. He even talks of the F word, franchising.
We're having fun. It's hard work, and we get tired sometimes, but my wife too, Edna, is having the thrill of her life. She also has the same fulfillment that I have. Right. So we may move forward with the expansiveness in terms of franchising and or the internet.
Young entrepreneurs, listen up. If you're in the business of creating an American dream for yourself, it would be a good idea to slow down a bit and listen to a man who knows quite a lot about this elusive goal.
Dare to be different. Who wants to be like the rest of the people? Where does leadership come from? Leaders are people who dare to dream and dream big and be different.
Jesse Hamby, Newswatch.